Hi, Shane here. You're watching Sam for God, and this is Mark. Check her out.
So hi guys, how are you doing? Today I want to talk to you about a book that was released by two very big YouTubers on YouTube, obviously, called Dan and Phil. And one of the things I don't really talk about much on this channel is the other YouTubers that I watch, and I probably should do that more often because I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos myself, and although most of the YouTubers that I watch are YouTubers that aren't like huge or too big like Dan and Phil, there are very few big YouTubers that I still actually enjoy watching, and Dan Howell and Phil Lester are two of them. And if for some really bizarre reason you haven't heard of them before, I'll link their links down below because their videos are brilliant, especially Dan. I've been watching his channel for 4 or 5 years now, I think, but basically since he started. I subscribed to him when he only had about maybe 8 or 9 videos on his channel, so a long time ago, and I've just always loved his sense of humor and style of videos, and I'm a big fan of his videos basically. And him and Phil recently brought out a book called The Amazing Book Is Not on Fire. Now obviously, again, if you know them, this might sound stupid to you, but I'm gonna say it for people who don't know. Basically Dan Howell's YouTube name is called Dan Is Not on Fire, and Phil's is called The Amazing Phil. So when you put them together, it's called The Amazing Book Is Not on Fire, which I think is a brilliant name for a book. And although I'm normally very much against YouTubers bringing out books, and the reason for that is because I feel like a lot of YouTubers, the big ones, you know, the ones with millions of subscribers, only bring out books because they get the opportunity, really. Someone asks them, oh, do you want to do a book? And they're like, yeah, sure. Even though they've, you know, never been readers, they've never cared about books, they don't even know how to write, they've never read before, or like they've never been, you know, really interested in reading or writing, because the opportunity is there, they're like, why not? And I don't really like that, because I feel like, you know, there's so many people, normal people who aren't YouTubers, or who aren't very big YouTubers, who are very good writers, you know, who've always had an interest in writing, or even went to university and studied literature and stuff, who never really get a chance to write because they're not famous and they don't get the opportunity. And yet all these YouTubers are just bringing out random books, very similar books as well, just because they can, and I really don't like that. One exception to that was Carrie Fletcher's book, which came out a few months ago, and I made a review of it, but that's because, like, Carrie Fletcher is somebody who's always shown an interest in writing and reading, and since I've started watching her videos, she's talked about books a lot, and I've always known that she likes writing. So, you know, of course, when the opportunity came for her to make a book, I was happy for her because I knew that it's something that she actually wants and she's very good at. And this might sound weird, but like Dan and Phil, whose book I'm holding here right now with me, they've never been, you know, people who have come across as people who enjoy writing or reading. To me, they're big geeks, not gonna lie. Like, I love their videos, and if you watch their videos you'll understand what I mean. They love everything geeky basically, and I love them for that. But writing and reading in particular wouldn't have been something that I would have associated them with. However, when they announced this book, and they announced in a very creative and clever way, they basically made a full-on trailer for it, which again I'll link down below. And when I watched that trailer I was like, wow, because I realized that this book wasn't just going to be a typical YouTuber book. Most YouTubers these days seem to bring out books on like advice and how to cook and daily lives and how they live their lives, and advice to teenagers, and just like their biography, which I think is ridiculous because, you know, most YouTubers are my age, you know, they haven't really done too much with their lives. But what Dan and Phil have done with this awesome book is that they've pretty much solidified their online creative YouTuber world into a physical book. Like, this book is basically everything you love about Dan and Phil online on YouTube, everything, like their videos, their sense of humor, everything, just in a book. It's not a life advice book, it's not a biography by any means. They're not pretending to be anything they're not. They're not pretending to be like, you know, these people with loads of experience who can give you loads of advice on food and health and school stuff or any sort of thing like that. They're just showing us all the fun that they have online in their videos, just in a book form. And because of that, I really enjoy this book, and I knew what to expect before reading it as well. I didn't go into it thinking I was going to read the most amazing piece of literature ever made. I knew exactly what to expect, and I got what I expected, and I really enjoyed this book. So I don't really want to spoil anything because this book only came out a few days ago on the 9th of October, and today is the 12th of October, so only a few days ago, and I read it very fast because it was just very good. But I do want to talk about it a little bit and just talk about some of my favourite things in it, because I was pleasantly surprised by it, and I feel like anyone who loves Dan and Phil's videos on YouTube is gonna absolutely love this book. Like, they really hit the mark. Like, they knew exactly what their audience would want, and they made a book that I think their audience would absolutely love. Anyone, like, I'm talking literally, if you just, even if you only watch a few of their videos and you think they're brilliant, you're gonna love this book. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I think, as always, as with most YouTuber books, it is mainly targeted at people you know, teenagers, just because most of these YouTubers, their main, you know, viewers are people who are, you know, teenagers, and that's absolutely fine. That's just kind of the biggest percentage of viewers on YouTube. That's just how it is, and that's fine. So I think that's kind of what they went for. But at the same time, I'm 25 years old and I enjoyed it. There wasn't any time where I thought, oh, this is like, you know, too young for me, I shouldn't be reading this. But I mean, like, I'm going to show you just a few pages just so you see kind of what's inside it. Actually, look what I've got in here, flyers for a show that I went to see that day. This is kind of what the book looks like inside, you know? It's not just like a proper book with loads of writing. I mean, there are some writing in it and some awesome, you know, pictures and stuff of them and just creative stuff that they've drawn. It's just like, it's almost like reading a magazine or like a yearbook or just something really cool and fun. It's not a typical book. It is literally how they describe it themselves. It's their world. It's Dan and Phil's world in a book. Some of the pages are like literally like printed copies of Dan or Phil's old diaries, or pictures of their shoes that they wear, or their hairstyles over the years, or silly things like silly quizzes that really have no purpose or no meaning, but you do them anyway and you find them funny and you enjoy them. Like, I genuinely laughed out loud quite a lot reading this book. Every page that I turned was a surprise, and it was a nice surprise, although I'm gonna be honest, some of the pages were a bit too silly and too random for me, and I was like, I mean, I'm not too sure about this, I'm just gonna, you know, skip over. I did read them still, although there wasn't really much to read on some of them, but most of them I loved. It's like, you know, you go inside their brains and their world, and I just think that more than anything, this is a book for themselves they can keep forever and look back on and just be proud of what they've both achieved. It's like their online world just offline, and I think that's just amazing. For that reason, I feel like both Dan Howell and Phil Lester are very clever people. They're intelligent, they know exactly what their audience wants, and they give them exactly that. And they're two YouTubers who I feel like have stayed very humble as well since I started watching them. A lot of the big YouTubers now just annoy me for reasons that I don't want to get into in this video, but they just seem like very lovely guys. I mean, I've never met them, but they just seem like very nice, funny guys, you know, who haven't started doing different kinds of videos just to get more views or anything. They've stuck to their own kind of videos that they've always done, and their style is funny. I mean, it's a very specific kind of humor, but clearly loads of people like it because they've both got millions of subscribers. And like I said, just go and watch their videos if you haven't already. It's a very kind of awkward, sarcastic kind of humor, and it's brilliant. I love it. So as I said before, although most of this book is just random stuff, like every page you turn is something completely random. I mean, look, this is one of the pages, just like some fun stuff. It's still really nice to look at, like, and it smells really nice as well, by the way. Oh, sorry about the noise outside, cars and stuff, as always. I always have to say sorry for the noise. But like, for instance, you get to learn about Dan's university life and Phil's, which, I mean, I found these bits actually very interesting, the ones that, you know, you kind of got to learn more about themselves and stuff, and there are quite a lot of pages like this where you get to learn more about them. I loved, for instance, I never knew that Phil had studied a master's in post-production, and that was very interesting to me. Like, no wonder he's so good at editing his videos. But then in contrast, one of my other favorite pages was this which is Phil's lion thing. Like, he's made like this story which you can read. I'm not gonna, you know, show it more because I don't want to spoil it to you, but you know, there are just some random bits of fun in here which, you know, you just won't get bored reading this book. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. You won't get bored, and at the same time you won't feel like you're reading stupid stuff either, even though a lot of it is incredibly random stuff that you probably wouldn't care about, like just silly stuff that you'd care about and lol about and laugh about and just kind of forget the next minute, but you still enjoy it. You don't feel like it's a waste of time just because it's just really clever and funny and creative and sarcastic, and I just like this book. One of the great stories that I liked reading in this was the time they met One Direction. As somebody who like wants to do presenting at some point in my life, I mean, it's not like my main dream, but I would like to if I get the opportunity. It was just nice to read about the drama that went on before they got the chance to do it. I mean, it was just very interesting, or like how they got asked to do their Radio 1 show, because again, if you didn't know, they've got a Radio 1 show which is amazing. You know, it was nice to learn about their flats, how they first met, you know, what goes on behind the camera, etc. Sorry, I'm just looking through the page with you as I'm talking, but yeah, there's advice on how to become a YouTuber, which I think is great advice. I mean, nothing that I didn't know already as somebody who does videos, but it's still really good for somebody who wants to start out. My favourite part of the whole book, though, I think, was towards the end of the book, where they talk about their recent trip to Japan, which I'd actually watched a video. I think they both made one of them, or I think they both made videos of their trip to Japan, which happened I think a few months ago, back in April of this year. I don't know, but I remember when I watched the video, I loved the video, but it was also very, very nice to read about it and see pictures and stuff, because Japan, if you didn't know, is one of those places, one of those countries that I've always wanted to go for a very long time, and it's not happened yet because it's just far away and it's quite expensive as well, as you know, as far as I know. But I really like, it's one of my dreams to go to Tokyo, not just because of Disneyland Tokyo, although I do want to go there as well, but I just want to see Tokyo. I love Japan. I think it's amazing, and I've got some Japanese friends, so hopefully one day it will happen and they'll be able to show me around and stuff. But it was just amazing to just learn about some Japanese culture and some of the places that they went to and they recommended and stuff. So now I know if I do ever go to Japan, which I hopefully will, I can go to some of those places because they seem to have gone to some really cool restaurants and cafes and shops and, you know, places and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at a page right now that says what Dan and Phil text each other. So like, you just get all these random, you know, pages like this, which just shows their friendship as well, and the chemistry that they have together, and what they've, you know, the kind of history that they've had together, you know, because I think they met like 5-6 years ago because of YouTube, because Dan was a fanboy of Phil. Everyone knows the story. And then they got to meet and then live together and everything. Another nice thing I think was the fan art page, because again, I feel like they very much appreciate their fans and their followers and subscribers, and it's just nice to include that, you know, some of the stuff that their fans have made. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a fan of Dan and Phil. Like, I don't know what they call them. I think they call themselves fandom, actually, like fandom with a PH because of Phil's name, and Dan obviously. Fan, yeah, exactly. Phil and Dan, fan, and then fandom. Perfect name for a fandom. But I wouldn't necessarily call myself a fan, like that kind of extreme kind of person, because I don't like wake up every day and think about them, or, you know, do drawings of them or write fan fiction like most of these people do. Not that there's anything wrong with that, like that's absolutely great. I would be a fan of that kind if I had more time, but I am a fan of their content on YouTube, and I'm a fan of this book because this is a good book. But like I said, I particularly really like Dan's videos, and also Phil's as well. Phil just seems like a very nice, lovable guy. Like, everybody just wants to be friends with him. I want to be friends with him. I think they just both seem very genuine and nice guys, and they have a really great friendship as well. And you can tell, like, by watching their videos, you can tell that they're great guys, and, you know, that they're genuine friends. It's not just done for the camera, and you can tell that by reading this book as well. It's just nice. This book made me feel happy, and it's, you know, all the colours as well. Like, look at it. You know, like I said, it's not just like a typical normal book, you know, it's just like full-on colours and pictures, and like I said, I've probably repeated myself a million times, but it is genuinely like the world that they have online, just in a book form. And everybody, I can't imagine anyone who's a fan of them too buying this and not enjoying it. So yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say about this book. One last thing to mention though, normally books that I read, because I read loads of books, like not books like this, but like full-on proper books, and normally in every book that you read, and I've read, I've noticed at least quite a few like spelling mistakes or typos and stuff. In this book, it took me, I think, about 100 pages to finally come across my very first mistake, and it was I think I only found like 2 mistakes overall, and it was just like they put one word twice in it instead of once, or something like that. Like, nothing major, but like I actually was quite impressed with that, because most books tend to have a lot more mistakes. And yeah, I suggest that you buy this book if you like Dan and Phil. You can definitely tell that they've worked hard on it. Like, they've made a video recently on their channel as well, showing the behind the scenes of the, you know, the making of the book, which I think is amazing. But like, again, like especially with recent stuff that happened with like Zoella's book, for instance, which was obviously not written by her, it was confirmed. With this, you can tell that it's them, because they speak like themselves in the book. It's not even just fully words, like I showed you before. A lot of it is just like pictures and drawings that they've made, or quizzes, or just fun stuff that they've made, which has clearly taken a lot of time for them, like a lot of creative time, and for them to think, you know, what exactly they could put in there to represent their world and make their fans the happiest possible. So yeah, buy this and let me know in the comments down below if you do already have it, or if you want to have it because you like their videos, or if you don't like them at all, then ignore this video. But I do suggest that you at least watch some of their videos online, because that's free, and they are both very, very good YouTubers. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. This was very different for me, but I like talking about YouTubers every now and again, especially, you know, when they bring out books that I actually like, because I don't normally buy YouTubers books. So yeah, as always guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!